Please stand. And good afternoon again, once again, to all of you who are joining us in person and those of you in Zoom land. We just want to say thank you so much for joining another RCN meeting. And so this meeting has officially been called now. Commence now. Okay, so wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please give us your full and undivided attention. The Rotary Grace. Oh, Danny, Lieutenant Danny is going to do the Rotary Grace. Come, Danny, first, please. And would you kindly all do the toast first? Pleasant good afternoon, yes. The Rotary Grace. Bless us, O Lord, and grant that we, as a group of Rotarians, but more particularly as individuals, may accept thy ways willingly and be worthy of thy wondrous dignity that thou hast established in the nature of man. Grant also that this world may enjoy thy peace forever. Amen. Amen. For the loyal toast to the King and the Commonwealth of the Commonwealth of Bahamas. Thank you. Thank you so much for carrying Danny for that. A wonderful grace. Be blessed with grace. What a wonderful and beautiful afternoon it is. And we trust that all of you are making your way here, that you'll do so safely and in a timely manner. We're just so happy to have you here present with us. And then, of course, we want to just say thank you to all those visiting on Zoom land. And Madam President, we should try to find that secret of how we can get the majority of people in person, as opposed to Zoom land. And we have not come up with that formula as yet, Sheila.
Stop soon.
Yes.
Right, it's a topic of conversation, and a lot of the clubs in the Caribbean have stopped soon, and they've got their people back.
Yeah. So, Madam President, that is to put on a future date. Yes. So we just want to welcome you to another RCN meeting, and we're looking forward to our guest presenter, who was, I'm quite sure, going to do us all well and proud, and a very interesting topic she has to share with us. She and I shared a little sidebar, and all of you are parents, particularly parents, and particularly those who intend to be parents. I think you don't want to miss this presentation by our guest, our presenter. And so we want to give the opportunity, as usual, for those persons who may be online, if you wish, please, any visiting Rotarians we have online, could you kindly open up your mic, chime in, and just say a hearty good afternoon to RCN. Thank you so much. Any visiting Rotarians we have online? Madam President, have you see anyone? Okay, look like all is homegrown. Do we have any visitors online? Bonamy? Jason Bonamy? If you care, open up your mic and just say whose guest you are. We'll be more than happy to welcome you. Give you an official welcome to RCN. Okay, Jason is probably engaged. Anyone else we have? Any other visitors? Natalia Gordon. We have a Natalia Gordon online. Hi, Natalia. Hi, Natalia. So we have Jason and Natalia, both who are perhaps maybe engaged, but they are listening nonetheless. We just want to welcome you to RCN meeting. And we are a hybrid club, so some of us are here and some of us are there. Nonetheless, we'll be glad that you're able to join us. in this most exciting time and most exciting club meeting. We promise you it will be just that. But if there be no other visitors that are joining us, Madam President, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you, Madam President, to the podium, to the lectern, and come and just give your president's remark and your announcements. Thanks so much, Madam President.
All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon, those of you who are here, a small gathering, but I see the numbers are growing. And those of you who are online, thank you so much for tuning in today. We have a very exciting topic today. You know, we are celebrating Youth Services Month this month, so we need to know how we are going to raise these children, or the children we already have. So the ones that are on the way, as Wayne said, you know, in this world of chaos, you know, there's so much going on right now. So it'd be great to get some pointers and some tips on how we can go ahead and do that. Just a reminder, we do have the push-a-thon, which is coming up on the 3rd of June. We still need volunteers. We need to get that information out to them as soon as we can. So please do sign up so that we can let them know that we will be there participating. We will be there to help with the pushing. They ask us to help pushing with the wheelchairs and pushing the residences here. So please, we do encourage you to sign up for that. And thanks again to all those persons who have been participating in all the events that we've been having so far. We also have, we had mentioned last week, our changeover is coming up, because, you know, I know Darren is so excited about taking over as president, but that will now be happening Monday, the 3rd of July. So remember to update your save the date. Excuse me, because we did have it initially set for the 27th, but it will now be on the 30th. So we look forward to seeing you on Monday, the 3rd of July now for our changeover, right? And with that, Mr. Sergeant, I am done with you.
Thank you, Madam President. See, the push-a-thon. The push-a-thon, Madam President. Which day is that?
That's a Saturday, June 3rd.
June 3rd, Saturday, June 3rd. Okay, good, beautiful. So RCN, we want you to full colors, and we're going to push our fellow man. What a way to provide a service, eh? That's a good opportunity to provide service above self. Absolutely, thanks so much. Okay, good, beautiful. So thank you very much for that update. It's welcoming news to me. I'll be in town then.
Excellent.
Otherwise, I would not have been, but I'll be in town then. Good, beautiful. Now for our secretary's update. Okay, so we can move ahead with that. And membership update. Rotarian Shelby, is she online? Rotarian
Yes,
Shelby?
sir. Hello, my fellow Rotarians. All right, so I have the membership update today. I am so sorry I'm not in the house. I'm in Zoom land today, but I do intend to be there in person next week. Do we have Secretary Angelique on the line today? She's celebrating a birthday today. Do we have Angelique on the line?
Unfortunately, I think she's celebrating.
She's celebrating. All right. Well, thank you so much for your remarks for Angelique today. She is celebrating today, and we also have Rotarian Austin. Rotarian Austin is celebrating on the 22nd. Is Austin on the line? No, Austin's not on the line. All right, Austin's celebrating early as well. No. All right, do we have the birthday song for our celebrants?
Yeah, no problem. I wondered if we should do it since they're not here. Yeah, no.
Celebrate the artists.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Let's celebrate them.
Happy birthday to you. Happy Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
My birthday, come on get my birthday, come on get my birthday, come on get. How old am I now? My birthday, come on get my birthday, come on get my birthday, come on get. So I can party all night.
Woo, all right, all right. So happy birthday from RCN. Now, our buddy Popcorn. So I just want to send a shout out to my buddy. I touched her this morning. She's doing well. She's working. It's a conflicting time with her schedule coming out, but hello to my buddy. And I hope that you all are checking in on your buddies, sending a friendly hello throughout the week, and just encouraging them to come out along with you in person at least once or twice a month. All right, well, that'll wrap it up for the membership update. Have a wonderful rest of your day and remainder of your week.
Thank you so much, Shelby. Speaking of reaching out to your buddies, my buddy actually, unfortunately, has to leave the country. He got a promotion, so he's going to be working out of the New York office for tourism. So we need to wish Michael Russell, he's my buddy, wish him well as he goes, starts this new journey. He should have left last week. So he is now going to be there, but I guess when he can, he'll try to still log in, but I'm sure that would be highly unlikely since he's going to be going through a lot of training right now. So just remember him in your prayers as he goes to start this new journey.
Wow.
Thank you so much. And while we're offering apologies for buddies, I offer my apologies for my buddy, Felicia. She on? Is my buddy on?
Nope, I don't see
Yeah, Felicia has a handful, so we pray for Felicia. So that's my buddy. And I'm quite sure you'll remember when she cut out, she came down to our meetings, but she has a little difficulty now. Okay, so moving right along, let's move on, and we're going to get our guest speaker in. But before we do that, I really like to recognize our senior table over there. The senior table over there. I mean, we need to give them a round of applause. The people who actually know what it means to be a Rotarian. They are here in person. All of our senior people are here in person. And so we want to thank you so much for being here in person, always faithful. Our senior people who understand the whole gist of what Rotary is all about. Right, Sheila? Okay, good. So we're going to move straight along and bring up our guest speaker. And so by way of introduction, we just going to give a brief bio of our speaker. Our speaker, Melissa A. Roberts, was born and raised in the beautiful Bahamas and is the vice president of a well-established locksmithing company. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in elementary education and uses those skills as a volunteer leader in children's ministry. Melissa considers her faith, her family, and her friends to be most important to her. She's married to her husband, Dallas, and they both have two grown children, Isaac and Sarah. Raising two very different children in the midst of chaos has not only strengthened her faith in God, but has developed a compassion for other struggling parents and children. If Melissa is not at work, church, or spending time with those closest to her, she's either working out, playing tennis, or in her writing studio. So we know where to find her. Chaos to Calm is just the catalyst for Melissa's dream of becoming a children's book author. As Rotary celebrates Youth Services Month, please join me in welcoming author Melissa Roberts to discuss raising the next generation in a world full of chaos. Please, Rotarians, let's welcome Melissa Roberts.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. This is different for me. I will tell you a little bit about myself. As he mentioned, my name is Melissa Roberts, and I have been working with children for quite a number of years. I do have a degree in education, which when I came back home from school, I only taught for 2.5 years. Because then my parents wanted me to come and run the company business so that they could retire. So I've been doing that for the last, ooh, that didn't sound so good. I've been doing that now for the last 22 years. And ironically, we are in a shift. So we are restructuring where we are now going to be doing some major changes. So I will no longer be the vice president of this well-established locksmithing company. I will now be an author and a speaker and just going into ministry for God. So this is going to be very interesting for me. I do have my husband who will be going out on his own in his own field of locksmithing. I'm excited for him in that. I have my 2 grown children. I know I look young, right? I do have an almost 22-year-old son and a daughter who will be 20 this year. So they still keep me very busy and very much on my toes. I decided to choose this topic of raising the next generation in a world full of chaos because there is just so much chaos going on. Every time you turn the news on, it is something happening, some mass shooting, some kind of issue where people can't resolve conflict. And so we're constantly going through so much chaos. And so we need to learn how, if we can't get rid of the chaos, because let's face it, we live in a world of sin, then we need to figure out how we're going to be able to raise our children to live in the chaos, but not be a part of the chaos, because we don't want them to be a part of the chaos. And so I'm going to ask you, I really like interaction, okay? So that's for you people on Zoom as well. When you hear the word chaos, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? We heard some chaos a couple minutes ago.
Yeah. Go on Zoom, can open your mic.
Turmoil.
That comes to your mind?
Confusion.
Confusion, damage.
Government.
Government.
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Anything else? Turmoil. Okay. Well, the Merriam-Webster dictionary actually defines the word chaos as a state of utter confusion.
Okay,
Not just confusion, but of utter confusion.
okay.
And as I mentioned earlier, the world today is full of chaos. And most people are living their lives in a state of confusion. We may like to think that we have it all together. We may like to think that our neighbor has it all together. You know, everybody can dress up and look nice. And we want to maybe be the next person that we see because, you know, they look like they have the perfect children with the perfect life. Well, newsflash, there's no such thing. Everybody is going through something. And if we actually sit down and take, I don't know if any of you has ever done this. Trust me, it is a surreal experience, but to sit down and actually take a self-audit of your life, you will recognize that you don't have it all together, that you are living in some form of chaos, especially if you are trying to do this thing that we call life on your own without God's strength. So I ask you, how many of you in here have children? Or if you don't have children, if you have a niece or a nephew, or work with children in some way, shape, or form, is it safe to say that that's most people?
Yes.
Okay. In some way, we will always have some kind of interaction with a child. So here's something that I learned over 20 years of being a mother, which is so crazy. And this is something that I wish that I knew and I took heed to when I was first starting out. So if you don't have children yet, please, please, please listen to me. Learn from me. Don't make the same mistakes that I've made, because I have made many. In fact, I have a whole book with 17 chapters of mistakes of what not to do. But here's what I learned. Don't worry that children never listen to you. Worry that they are always watching you. Robert Fulghum said that. See, we tend to blame everything and everyone else on how our children turn out. But if we sit down and we really take note of our own lives, we will recognize that we produce people like us. See, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors in other people's homes, but we do know what goes on behind closed doors in our own home. So if we don't know how to diffuse a situation, and when those children come up to us and they see all the flashing buttons on us and they start playing whack-a-mole with those buttons, pressing them every which way they can, if we don't diffuse the situation before we respond and we react instead, we add to the chaos. So we need to change ourselves before we can actually change the people who we are raising. And in fact, if we think about it, we can't really change them. We can only be an example to them because they still have a free will. So it's inevitable that all that is inside of us will not be transferred to those that we come in contact with, especially with our children. Think of it this way. When you were born, it was a clean slate. The moment you came out of your mother's womb, influence started. The sounds that you heard, the things that you saw, they started influencing and shaping who you were going to be. When you became a toddler, things that you went through then, there were so many different phases that you go through to get you to the point where you are now. So we cannot forget that our children are going through the same thing. We have to remind ourselves that we used to be that age before. So let's not kill them, because there are some things that they will do and you will feel like you just want to get them, you know, and get them to understand. But how long did it take you to get to that point? Maybe you're in your 40s and you still haven't gotten to that point. But don't lose hope. It's never too late. See, only the truth of who you are, if realized, will set you free. So you first have to recognize who you are, because everything that's inside of you, like I said before, is going to pour into your children. So if you want to create a world for them that they can actually learn how to survive and thrive, how they will learn how to have conflict resolution instead of, oh, I'm mad at you, bang, dead. Again, that's happening everywhere you go. And it's crazy. But we have the capability of changing the story. We can change the story. We've heard it said many times, we need to be the change that we want to see in the world, but guess what? It all starts with us. It starts with us. It doesn't start with our children. It starts with us. As parents, we have, get this, and I want you to compute this in your brain, only 936 weeks, 936 weeks that you have great influence in your children's lives. from the day they are born until their 18th birthday. So our influence in their lives needs to be so loud that it drowns out all of the chaos around them. So what are we pouring into them? Are we raising them to be selfish? Are you selfish? Of course, none of us wants to think that we're selfish. Or are you raising them to be empathetic and compassionate? Are you empathetic and compassionate? Are we raising them to be responsible or entitled? Do you give them everything that they want? Or do you make them learn how to work for it so that they can appreciate what they have? Are we helping them to make wise decisions? Or are we enabling them by making all of the decisions for them, then crippling them where they are not able to maneuver life knowing how to make wise choices? See, even a toddler needs to be able to fall down and recognize that they can get back up on their own. But what do? The moment they fall, when they're learning how to walk, oh, we run to them. And we ask them if they're okay. And or sometimes we pick them up and so they wouldn't cry. But it's at that stage where we need to let them fall. We need to let them cry. We need to let them realize that it's going to be okay. And they can get back up and then they can move on. And guess what? When they fall down again and you don't respond or react, they're going to know they're okay. And that's going to follow through even when they're in their elementary school years. And you know, oh my gosh, sometimes I wouldn't even talk about middle school. That age is just, they could be outright mean. I mean, really mean. But if we jump in as parents, and nowadays parents want to jump into every situation with their children. If we jump into every situation and we take care of it, they are not going to learn how to resolve conflict in the right way. Are we able to do all of this on our own? No. It takes a village. Now, a lot of us might think that, you know, we're raising our children, or we've already raised our children and now we have grandchildren. Well, I can't say we have grandchildren. I don't have any grandchildren, right? But the grandchildren come along. Some of y'all might have great grandchildren, but it still takes a village. And your village may not necessarily be family. It may not necessarily be friends that you've had for many, many years. But see, it's important that we go out and we seek the right village for our children. People that when you walk away, you know whoever they are with, they are saying the same thing that you are saying. The same thing. It's a like voice. You know that those persons that are pouring into your children is saying the same thing, raising them the same way that you would raise them. We need to be able to set boundaries. Let your no be no. How many of you have ever had a child say, oh, mommy, I can have this, mommy, I can have this, mommy, I can have this. Or if it didn't happen to you, have you been in the food store? You know they set up, you know they set parents up, right? For the food store. Like when you go out and you're getting ready to check out, where is the candy? At the checkout line. It's right there. And at what level is it? Right at their levels. So that they can hound you. And I have seen it on numerous occasions. Mommy, I want this, mommy, I want this, mommy, I want. And the parent is now so frustrated and they're like, okay, fine. Just get it. And they put it on the conveyor belt and then it goes and it's paid for and the child got what they wanted because they fought for it. But initially the parent said no. And then said no again. And I've seen it over and over. Have I done it? Sometimes. But see, as was mentioned, I was born and raised in the Bahamas. I am a full-blown Bahamian. So that means, as most parents, most Bahamian parents, you lay the law down in the car before you go into the store. and you embarrass me, I'm going to embarrass you. That's not always the case. But listen, I told my child one time, I said, this is it. We are going in the store. I'm going for these 4 items and that is it. Do not ask me for anything. I'm not getting anything except these 4 items. I kid you not. My son ran away from me, went through an aisle, got something, came back, and he's at me and he's at me. And I stood there and I started looking at other parents and I'm like, does this child belong to you? Because he can't belong to me. You know, he's not my child. And I walked away and he starts running behind me. He's like, mommy, mommy, mommy. And I'm just like, I don't know who this child belongs to, but somebody need to come and get him. And when we got in the car, I told him, I told you, this is what I was going for. So we have to let our no be no and mean it. These children didn't come into this world to take over, you know. But sometimes we as parents, we get so frustrated that we give in. And when we give in, they grow up to feel like they are entitled. And I might as well tell you, I told my children, y'all ain't entitled. Y'all ain't entitled. The only thing you entitled to is whatever you work for. That's what you're entitled to. You're not entitled to anything. I will help you, but you're not entitled. We're also called to be, now get this, called to be friendly with our children, but not their friend. I've seen many parents try to be their friends, and I've fallen into that trap as well with my daughter. I wanted to be more of a friend to her because I'm like, hold on a second. They listen to their friends. They ain't listening to me. So if they can listen to their friends, I might as well be friend. Well, that kind of backfired. And then I realized if I'm going to be her friend, then she loses the stability of the authority in her life. The foundation is then shaken. She's going to have friends come and go all the time, but she only has one mother. And so I have to be that authority figure, not an authoritarian, but an authority figure in her life, somebody that she knows that she can come to and talk to about anything. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we create a safe space for them, knowing that if they come to us and they say, this is how I'm feeling, we're not going to judge them. We're not going to tell them the worst words you can ever say to anybody. You shouldn't feel that way. But it's how they feel. And if you say that to your child, guess what's going to happen? They're not coming back to you. They're not coming back to you. They're now going to their friends, seeking advice from their friends. And we know that could get them into a whole lot of trouble sometimes. So give them that safe space where they can feel like they can open up and talk to you about anything. I used to tell my children, listen, I'm going to allow you to speak. You will have a voice in this house, but I will never tolerate disrespect. So it's funny because I work in children's ministry at Bahamas Harvest Church, and I've been doing that now for 10 years, and I absolutely love it. And every time I'm talking to the children, you know, it's elementary age children, so that's grades 1 through 6. Every time I'm talking to them, I'll always give a story about one of my children, mainly my son, but one of my children, okay? And my son walked in one Sunday morning and I called him up to the front and I said, come here, come here. I said, now I'm talking to the children. Our whole topic for that month was respect. And I said to him, I want you to tell these children, what is one thing I said to you growing up that I would never tolerate? And he goes, disrespect. I said, exactly. And he knew that. Does that mean that he was never disrespectful? No. I wish that were the case. He wanted to give me lip yesterday. And I wasn't having it. I said, oh, tone it down. Now we can have a conversation, but I'm not going to let you be disrespectful to me. And so we have to be able to, again, create that safe space. Allow them to be a part of the decision-making process when you are coming up with consequences for their crime. I say crime like, because I've experienced crime situations from the smallest thing to some serious things in my household. But see, again, if we're the authority, we're the parent, we have to be the parent, we have to be the godly example. We have to be the strong foundation for them so that when they go out into the world, they are well equipped to face and handle any challenge with confidence and with grace. See, I have to tell you, all the things that I've been through as a mother, don't be like me. I used to keep it in. In fact, when I wrote my book, Chaos to Calm, that was the first time when my husband read that, that was the first time he knew a lot of that stuff. That was the first time my mother knew a lot of that stuff. In fact, that was the first time anybody knew a lot of that stuff because I kept it in. I kept it in. I didn't seek the help that I needed because trust me, hindsight has what? 20/20 vision. And if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have a book called Chaos to Calm, not in this manner, maybe in a different manner, but not in this manner. And so I recognize that every time Pastor Mario would make the comment, the comment from stage over the last 9 years, well, the 9 years, yeah, he would say by John C. Maxwell, we teach what we know, but we reproduce who we are. And I would sit there and I would cringe and I would be like, are you kidding me? My children ain't like, like me. My daughter isn't like me because I'm an extrovert and she is very much and she is very much like her father. My son, oh no. I never did the things that he did. I was a good girl growing up. Yeah. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, hold on. I used to get beaten in school every day in elementary school. I if any of my teachers are even logged in right now or is ever going to see this, I need to take the time to apologize to y'all because guess what? I know it wasn't easy because I've been through it. But see, now I have a passion and a desire to partner with parents because I know that we have parents that are struggling and don't know what to do, but guess what? You cannot cancel your parenting subscription. I've tried. It's non-returnable. And it's definitely non-refundable. You cannot cancel it. You have to go through it, but don't go through it alone. Seek the help that you need. You can't throw in the towel. And so I figured if I was working in ministry and working with other people's children for 10 years, then my God, at least I could do the same thing for my own children. Be there, be a listening ear. Give them that safe space. Let them know that they are made in the image of God, because they are. All of us are made in the image of God. They're not a burden. They're not a mistake. And they're here for a reason. And in this world of chaos, we have so much going on. We live in an imperfect world. We are imperfect people. But we need to be able to point our children, who are also imperfect, to a perfect God. And we need each other to do that. So I implore you, please, don't do this parenting thing alone. Don't do the grandparenting thing alone, and surely don't do the great parent. Look here. You might not spoil your children, but don't spoil your grandchildren, because it's only teaching them that they could then become entitled. Teach them how to make decisions. Teach them how to, you know what? Think about it this way. We are raising somebody else's husband. We are raising somebody else's wife. We are raising the next prime minister of our country. Yeah. So when you get a response like that, then we know we have a lot of work to do with our children. A lot of work. But it starts with us. We need to fix us first. I had to fix me first before I could even remotely think about continuing to work with my children. And with that, that's it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm quite sure we all are bubbling with answers, with questions for Melissa. So if there be any questions, this is now the questioning time. You hit the nail on the head in so many regards, particularly for those of us who have children, or more than one child. So I know what it is. I know what it is. And thank God all of mine are out of the nest. But boy, I tell you, it's a struggle. And particularly in this day and time, you know, particularly, I mean, you turn on the television and you can see, you know, internationally and then even locally, what's happening here. So it couldn't get any more clearer than what she had said. And so we want to just thank you so much for that. But I now open up questions.
Yes, I have a question.
Anyone?
Sergeant. I have a question, Sergeant.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Roberts. That was a very informative presentation. But and I can relate to all that you said, especially with the children at the counter getting candies and so forth. I can really relate to that. But my question is that in today's society, is it would you say is it a better approach to allow children to be more vocal and express themselves, or should we apply a traditional training and teaching to say girls should not be, what is it? I think girls should be seen but not be heard, and all these old adage type things. What is your response to that?
I think that we need to come to a happy medium in that. We should not have extremes in anything. And I never believed in children should be seen and not heard. I never believed in that. Because why then did we have children? I mean, we didn't have children just so they could get to the age where they could wash the dishes for us, eh? I hope not. You know, so I think we need to be able to, yes, allow them to have a voice, because guess what? When they turn 18, we're going to want their voice to be a lot like ours and not what the world is telling them. We have to be able to allow them to speak so that we can hear what they're saying and understand where they're coming from. We need to stop listening to respond, but listen to understand. And I think if we stop and really listen to them and ask questions and don't be judgmental, then we'll gain a clearer picture of where it is we would need to guide them, where to steer them, what direction to kind of, steer them into. So that would be my response to that.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you.
Sure, I have a question. Tamika here.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
Go ahead.
What, I guess again, excellent presentation. I agree with Jamal. And so my first question, I don't have a lot, but my first question would be, what are the age brackets of your kids?
Okay. So my son is going to be 22 on June 1st, and my daughter will be 20 in August. So that's a 2-year and 3 months difference.
Because I guess my question would be is that you stated that let me fix me in order for me to fix them, right? And so at what point did you fix you and you realized that I probably did a little bit better job with the second one after I fixed myself versus the first? And so how did that work?
I a little ashamed to say this, right? But it took me September of 2022.
Very well.
To fix me. And at that point, obviously, my son was already 21 and my daughter was 19. So yeah, so just back in September is when I fell to my knees and I cried out to God and realized that it's me I need to fix.
And how are they coping with the new parent, the new mommy? Because obviously they're adults now. So how did this all work? just information.
So ironically, they both, well, my son is still reading the book. You know how it is with boys and reading sometimes. And not only that, he does have a mental, well, he's not mental. Oh my gosh. I need to figure out how to word this properly. Okay, so he does have ADHD. And so he gets himself in a lot of problems. And the only thing I could say is in them reading the book, that he did come to my book launch. And so he heard a lot of what I shared in the book. And a lot of the stories is with him. And our relationship, even with my daughter, our relationship has gotten so much better because my whole book is, the subtitle is A Mother's Confessions of Taking Responsibility, Birth, Healing, Restoration, and Peace. And now we have the best relationship. You know, I said yesterday that my son wanted to give me lip, but the moment I say, let's tone it down, you know, quick, fast, in a hurry.
Yes.
And my daughter, and he'll call me 3-4 times a day for advice on something. But I tell him, if you're coming to me with a problem, come to me with a possible solution as well. And then my daughter calls me all the time. She's in Toronto right now. She calls me all the time and it tells me everything. So our relationship is, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
All right, Vice President Stephen.
Thank you.
My question is, it would be dealing with, based on what I see in our community. I think we can talk about the ideal family where mother and father is there. I'm more concerned about where that ideal father is not there.
Yeah.
Where, like a child, you know, we say everybody's created equal, but some children are born when their father is driven. Their mother, there's some of the party in like, I don't know who shapes them. And I began to hear you saying about they follow and, you know, you take takes on some of the things. And how do we change that narrative in those type of places? Because they don't listen, they don't coaching. What you talk about talking to your children and all that ain't happening. Ain't no family there. All right. This is, and I think that's the reality what exists out there. Because I will hear what should happen to the ID family. That's good when you have a mother and father. And you can deal with that child. The absence of that, where so many West events is happening out there.
Yeah.
I think that is a compelling issue. We still trying to get to grips with it. For the young people that they're facing today.
Right. And there's not much that I can actually speak on that because obviously, you know, I haven't experienced it, but I have experienced friends that have gone through that. And the only thing that I could say, especially working in ministry in church with children and partnering with the parents, a lot of the children who come into church is from a single parent home. So sometimes we're like, oh, what's the child's last name? I'm like, well, you can't really go based on the parent's last name because it's only one parent, you know? And so I see where you're coming from, but partnering with the parents, we now can help them be a stronger influence. So let's say the father's in prison and the mother is doing her absolute best. Or you have a situation where there's co-parenting. The child is bounced this home to the next home, you know, back and forth, back and forth. And so I'm saying something in my home. And when they go off and I fight, it takes me 2 weeks to get them back in check, you know, and then they go off to the next home and it's free for all. And then the only thing I can say is for that influence, that the person who is really trying and working with the child, for that influence to be louder. And don't do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. And that's why it's so important to seek out a village, a proper village. And that's why it's my passion to really work with parents. I've worked with children for a while, but I really want to work with parents now and help them however I can, you know, to recognize that, listen, if we're going to fight for our children, we need to start fighting first on our knees. Because Satan is after our children, and Satan is mainly after our male seed.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, we have, I think we have an online keynote, online, Sharon Keynote, your question?
Thank you very much. This has been a very timely topic. Thank you very much to your presenter. I really appreciate what she shared today. I have two quick questions. My first question is this, I think you mentioned it earlier, but who are some of the persons other than yourself who has impacted the lives of your children, i.e. mentors, persons in the community that have impacted your children's lives? And did you strategically line them up to do that? That's the first question. My next question is this. Many of our children have been influenced by media, by various cultures that are now in our country. They are now living under the Disney world mentality where so many things are hitting them. The SpongeBobs, the different things that are coming at our children. How do you guard against, or what do you recommend to parents to guard against all of these negative social influences? You think about the campaign of the same sex, different things, but how do you guard your children against these various influences that are impacting our children?
Okay, so to answer the first question, so I was attending a church from the age of 2, and I thought that, you know, I mean, the church is supposed to be the place that you can go to and your children feel welcome and all of that, until I was bombarded one day and was told that my son could never come back in class. I'm sorry, what? And it was at that moment that I recognized I have to do what is the best thing for my children. And so I ended up leaving, and my son said to me, of course I'm going to promote my church, right? But my son said to me, Mommy, we should try Bahamas Harvest Church. I don't know how in the world he heard about it. He was only in the 6th grade. And I said, okay. And when we got there, the volunteers that were working with the children, especially in like the middle school age, took my child under their wing. And they were saying the same things that my husband and I were teaching them in school. And that's when I said, that's a part of our village. We have to make them a part of our village. And believe it or not, to this day, when my son got in trouble last year, when he got in trouble this year, one of the workers that worked with him in youth ministry, who is now in the US, messaged me because he's like, I just talked to him. They're still in communication. He still has an influence in his life. But again, children are going to do what they want to do. But I was very selective in the people that I had my children, who poured into my children. And you're right, as far as the social media aspect of it is concerned, because I actually have a chapter in my book on social media and the fight for attention. We have to be very intentional about the age that we allow our children to be engrossed in social media. There's a reason why when you're signing up for an account, it asks you your age, because you should be of some kind of age where you can make these decisions on your own. And sometimes these children, they have no clue. And then what's happening is they're looking at the best part of whoever is putting out these things on social media, and they're comparing it to the worst part of themselves. And it creates an internal chaos for them. But we as parents, we have to stop allowing our children to run things. Like I said earlier, we have to be the parent. I told my children, I said, listen, I'm not allowing you to watch SpongeBob. I think it has adult connotations to it. There are things in it that is not actually funny. I'm not allowing you to watch SpongeBob. Now, when my children went to somebody else's house, by somebody else, I mean one of my family members, because I didn't let them just go to anybody's house. What did they have on? SpongeBob. So they'd come home and they would, I was like, no, guess where, you ain't going again. If that's gonna be on. But then I would have a conversation with the adult and say, I don't allow my child to watch XYZ. So if they're coming to you, I would appreciate it if you don't have that on. And if they don't respect that, guess what? They ain't going back. We have to be able to stand up for what we believe is right. We can't let our children take over. We can't let social media take over. I thank God that I grew up in an era where social media didn't exist. I did all my stupid things when it didn't exist. But now you just have to do so. I could put my hand here and everybody saw that all over the world just now. So you have to be a loud enough voice, even in your children's lives when they grow up at this stage, to recognize, listen, you don't want to do this. This could be the possible outcome. So you are free to choose, but you are not free from the consequences of your choices. So what are you going to put out on social media? Once it's out there, you can't take it back. Who are you allowing to influence you? The perfect person you see on the other line who probably has a drug problem that you don't know about, who probably has some other addiction problem that you don't know about, but they're portraying the best of themselves. So we have to be intentional about our voice being louder. Let us be the social media in their lives. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's give a rousing round of applause to our.
Yeah, just before you go, we have a lot of people asking about the cost of the book and the contact how to reach you to get the book.
Okay, all right, yeah, so the book is $25 locally from me or from Bahamas Harvest Church Bookstore. I'm actually today going to co-sign with to put it on consignment with All Seasons, All Occasions in Palmdale. Or it's available on Amazon for those AA addicts out there. By AA, I mean Amazon Anonymous. Yeah. So you can get it on Amazon or you can get it from me. My phone number is 357-8365. And my email is Melissa, MELISSA, Roberts, ROBERTS 242, because you know you got to fit that in, @gmail.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Let's give our a round of applause. I mean, what a gift, eh? What a gift. I'm thinking of one or two parents now. I really need to put that book in their hand because they need some guidance and some help with some children. Because I'll be honest with you, man, you let these children take right. You know, the thing about it, not to belabor the point, but the thing about it, what I can't understand, you don't get away, parents. You don't get away. You let your child run amok home in your house, guess what's gonna happen in your life? They're gonna run amok in your life. And you could be in your 50s and your 60s and your 70s when it do happen. All right, so you don't get away. So please, let's heed those very, very safe advice given by our guest presenter. Okay, good. Now we're going to move on in the interest of time. We're going to move straight on now. We want to just thank our speaker, Madam President, could you put the speaker's certificate up? And of course, this is our certificate presented to you, Melissa Roberts, on behalf of the RCN Club. And we just want to thank you. All right. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your precious time. And of course, as tradition, we normally present you with a rotary mug. Because we know everyone has tea now and then, eh? Coffee. There you go. So yeah, yes, happy. Yes, yes. Madam President. Okay, that's fine. Let's make this official.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we're gonna move on in the interest of time. We don't have any raffle, but we have fines, quickly.
I'm here, sorry.
Last week, we got some good money from Charlene. Charlene, so I know she's ready now. She got a beautiful purse there. For those, okay, she got on all the page. She got couple page, so. So those Rotarians in the room who do not have the pin on, please, just a show of hands, because we have a love package for you. Those who don't love, okay, Brother Sam has a bill. Who else? Oh, we got the bag there. Okay, good. These are, so who else? Okay, good, beautiful. And you will collect that, you will collect those funds? Okay, good, beautiful. Okay, good, thank you so much.
Johnny, you got that? That's Anita and Sam. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sam.
No, Anita. Yes, Anita. Okay, good, beautiful. We're just so happy that you're able to assist our polio endeavors. That's what our fines go towards. And now coming to do our 4-way test, Rotarian Royan, she will do our 4-way test, and she will also do our Rotary toast when our meeting. Four-way test, please. Would you? Yes, and then the 4-way toast. So. Please, Dan.
Rotarians, please join me in the 4-way test. The things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be better to all concerned? Will it be fun?
Good.
To the Rotarians that are here and the Rotarians that are there, to Rotarians everywhere and Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. We had a great meeting today. Are we gonna try to get a photo? I don't think Keno here today, so I don't know if we're gonna get a photo. But all right, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Okay.
I missed my 4-way test.
Oh, you did? Go ahead, you can say it.
Blessed afternoon, everyone.
All right, have a good day. Take care.
All right.